Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Don, and with me, my colleagues, Robert Green and Julie Kavarian. They'll join us here on stage today. And our good friend, Ana Maria Romeo, is standing by right off to the edge of the stage to help answer your questions. Now, let's get started. Today, we're going to start out with a licensing conversation, but I'm going to let Robert do most of the talking. I'm going to prod him and poke at him a couple times, but that's really the story that he tells the best. Then it's my turn to talk to you a little bit about BricsCAD. We think you're really going to like what you hear. But since a picture is worth 1,000 words, we've asked Julie to take you through the BricsCAD experience in just a little bit more detail. So if you're all ready, let's get started. I'd like to welcome my friend Robert Green to the stage. So Robert, we're hearing a lot about this new licensing policy from that other CAD company. Is this something that's causing concern for you as a CAD manager?
It is indeed, and I'm hearing quite a lot about it in my Facebook CAD managers group and from Catalyst readers. It's a big policy change, and it's going to cause disruption in terms of pricing and the way you administer licenses and compliance. So it's something that CAD managers need to be keenly aware of, and that's why I've been covering it so closely in my newsletter.
Awesome. Well, hey, before we start talking about that named user thing, we should probably start out by defining a little bit more about what is network licensing, just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, good point, because you see a lot of different terminologies when things are written up. You see, floating licenses, concurrent license, shared licensing. So there's all these different terms floating around. So standard nomenclature is a great idea. Network licenses basically just all they do is they track who is in the software at any given moment, and in fact and enforces a maximum number of licenses. So you just purchase a certain number of licenses. You can install the application software on as many computers as you like. And the only thing that matters is only the maximum number of users can be in at any one time. That's controlled by a license server. It's installed somewhere inside your own firewall, resides on the company's own machinery, and the storage, usage information, all that is stored there locally at that license server. So it's just simply a simple way to control your license and usage and control your licensing cost.
Okay, so that's network licenses, network multi-user licenses. So now let's contrast that, if you would, with this concept of a named user license.
A named user basically says that every user has to have their own subscription or license, however the software vendor likes to put it. Autodesk typically will say subscriptions, and it is linked to the user's email account. Okay. So there is a one-to-one ratio here. Each user must have their own license. And it doesn't matter whether they use the software all day, every day, or whether they're just a casual user who may use it a few hours a week. Those licenses have to be managed in that user emails need to be logged into a system. That email needs to be equated to a license, and that has to be managed over time. That data will reside at the software manufacturer's website, not inside your own firewall.
Okay, so I think I see the difference. It's sounding a little bit draconian to me, but from a CAD manager's point of view, what's the most concerning issue that you have about this methodology?
It really comes down to how many users can you support with a certain number of licenses. And clearly in named user, that license ratio drives at 1-to-1. One user, one license. And the only way that I can possibly do anything about that is to swap users in and out via a lot of manual administration. And of course, as that ratio changes, so does cost, which is another concern.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old adage, you can pay me now or you can pay me later, right? So what we're
Correct.
hearing about a licensed trade-in program. Robert, what's the deal on that?
So what's going to happen is Autodesk is not going to support network licensing anymore.
Okay.
This means that your network licenses are going to have to be traded in, and you will then go to a named user mode of licensing control. Every network license that you have today will become 2 named user licenses tomorrow. So if you had 50 network licenses, you're going to receive 100 named user licenses. Um, you're going to have to adapt to that methodology of controlling users, that is 1 license per 1 email. And that paradigm is going to have to go into place within 30 days. The migration has to occur within 30 days, and your network license server has to be decommissioned. And that is simply the term of the contract to remain in licensing compliance.
Okay, okay. It definitely sounds a bit more complicated than this idea of a pool of users accessing a smaller pool of licenses. I'm wondering
It
if the
is.
IRS made this plan up. It kind of
Ooh,
sounds overly complex. But more importantly, I think to a lot of users, maintenance goes away, right?
correct. If the client has already migrated to a subscription or a named user subscription paradigm in the past, then this will continue. But if they've been hanging on to their network licenses, or they've even got old perpetuals that are on maintenance, all that goes away. Everything has to be traded in, and you have to go completely to named user. That's it.
Okay. So when is this change scheduled to happen?
Well, there's the policy will actually go into force on August the 7th. So the way that it practically works is that after August 7, whenever your next renewal contract comes up, this is when you will have to make the jump. At that point, you either accept the trade-in or you don't. If you accept the trade-in, your network licenses go away. You receive named user in exchange. If you do not accept the offer, then you lose all ability to upgrade your licenses moving forward. You can simply run your old licenses in legacy mode, and that's it.
The value, the upgradability goes away. And it sounds to me like it's pretty mandatory, Robert.
It
How's a
is.
CAD manager's life going to change after this transition date?
Well, besides the budgeting and things that will go on, probably the principal difference is going to be in the way that you administer licenses, because now you're having to track users versus their emails. So this will be an administrative burden that is new for the CAD manager or the IT manager, whomever takes care of that. Um, this is going to be a burdensome process, especially for larger companies that may have hundreds and hundreds of users. Managing all these email accounts and the subscription and licensing numbers that equate to those users is not trivial. So to get around that, there is a offer for a product that's called the premium subscription. That will allow you to use SSO, single sign-on, to control that licensing compliance or user email compliance. But the catch is that's going to cost $300 per user per year.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's a fairly large price bump.
Yes. Yes. So that's the automated solution is to leverage single sign-on, but there's a new expense that you have to factor in, right?
Either way, I mean, either the expense comes from the premium subscription or the expense comes from manually managing this process, that which will require man hours. That's a new expense because we've not had to do that with network licenses in the past.
Okay. Okay. So with all these terms and ratios, Robert, I'm just an engineer. I'm getting a little bit confused. Can you
Me too,
take us
brother.
through an example maybe to figure out what these costs might look like to a user?
Right. Actually examined a case with a company, we'll call them XYZ Engineering for the purposes of this discussion. They had 50 network licenses, but they used those 50 network licenses to support 150 users. So you can do a little quick arithmetic there, and you can see that their float ratio is 3-to-1. Now, they had a good negotiated rate of $1,000 per network license. That's what it cost them to renew every year.
Wow, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's a good negotiated deal, substantially below the manufacturer's suggested retail pricing that you would find on the website. Everything was controlled with one license server, easy peasy. They just put a new license code on once a year, and that was it.
Okay. So now let's take a look at what's going to happen to those folks after the trade-in program.
At trade-in time, their 50 network licenses become 100 named users, which will leave them 50 users short. So they're going to have to acquire 50 additional licenses. Remember, there's no wiggle room. There's zero float in this deal. One user, one license, that's it. So to keep track of their 150 users, who are split between two different sites, by the way, that administrative task is not negligible. So they're most likely going to need premium subscription to get SSO, single sign-on control for their user management. So that's going to be an additional expense.
Yeah, I remember reading that the recommendation was that if you have more than 50 named user subscriptions, they severely recommend
Yes.
the premium subscription option. So 50 was that target number. All right. It looks like it's considerably more involved than this concept of a network license. But let's take a look at some costs. Based on what's going on, let's just say last year at renewal time, what did XYZ have to deal with in terms of license cost?
It was actually really, really simple. They had 50 network licenses. They had a negotiated rate of 1,000 per network license per year. They just renewed $50,000. They receive a new code. They go to their network license server, put in the new code. 20 minutes later, they're done. They don't have to touch it again until next year.
Only 50,000 and you're set for a year. That sounds like a deal. So what is it going to look like for the accounting department at XYZ next year?
Next year, it gets a little more interesting. Now, they trade in the 50 network seats and they get 100 named users back. That will be the same $50,000 cost, no change there. But they are going to need 50 additional subscriptions because they have to support 150 total users. And that will be an additional charge. And they're also going to need the premium subscription for single sign-on control of their licensing. And that's going to be an additional charge as well. So when you add this up, it's going to come out to $145,000 for them after they take the trade-in deal.
That's a year.
A year.
It looks like the 2-to-1 trade-in didn't really work to their advantage.
They were able to achieve everything they needed to achieve in the old network license scheme. They were able to support 3 users per license. It worked for them. Their statistics bore that out year after year. So the additional licenses here is one expense, but the administration, the premium subscription, is another big add. So there's actually, for them, there's 2 components here that are increasing their cost.
And that also, if we look at that over 3 years, that's a nicely outfitted new Porsche 911 every year. Wow, that's a pretty amazing cost profile.
That's one metric. Yeah,
but everybody has their own metrics, my friend. That's one that makes sense to me. So let's pivot now. Let's talk about the value of BricsCAD Perpetual Network Licensing, because I don't think we've raised the perpetual word since we began this conversation, but that's critical.
Right. So in this particular case, what XYZ Engineering could do is they could just go get 50 perpetual network licenses of BricsCAD. It would essentially be the way they've always done business. They're just doing it with BricsCAD instead. And that's about $64,000. Then maintenance to keep everything current year over year would be an additional about $19,000. So you're talking about roughly $83,000 in year one, and that is to totally replace their software and get up to speed with BricsCAD.
But something that's really important, I think we need to mention, is this isn't subscription. These are perpetual licenses. So you purchase the licenses in year one, you pay year one maintenance, and then what happens in year two and year three and year X?
That's when you simply go on maintenance renewal, and you can see the cost comes way down. Way down.
Yeah, I can't even get a Yugo for that, I don't think, anymore. They still sell Yugos in the US? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Not a car guy.
So what happens then over 3 years? That's got to be a pretty dramatic change, I think, if we look at the savings profile.
Right. As you would suspect, right? Anytime you make a change, your expenses in year one are going to be somewhat higher, and it's true here as well. But even going to BricsCAD, acquiring new licenses and putting it on maintenance, there's still a $60,000 savings roughly in year one, and then the savings really start to get large year two, year three, year over year, because you're on maintenance only at that point. So this is quite a substantial savings. It's just due to the fact that BricsCAD is more reasonably priced in the first place, and leveraging the network licensing, which is no longer available elsewhere, makes it even that much affordable.
Ooh, I can get a McLaren for that money. Woo, nice deal, dude. So let's sum this thing up and get her moving forward, my friend.
If I had to categorize the way that people should look at this, or companies or CAD managers, IT departments, whatever, is that you just run the math. What we did in the discussion here was kind of a sample calculation. Of course, everybody's numbers are different. And we were actually comparing the BricsCAD list price, suggested retail price, against a negotiated price. So your numbers may even be better. The point is, do the math for yourself, and I think you're going to come to the understanding that you're going to be able to support more users for less money by continuing a network licensing scheme. And BricsCAD supports it, the other companies don't. This is going to not only make your economics better from a point of owning your licenses, but it's going to sidestep or totally avoid this new administrative burden that is embedded in named user. There's no user emails to manage, and everything remains behind your own firewall, so you control it easily, the same way that you've been doing it for years. This will give you the lowest cost of software ownership per user, and it will drive your administrative costs down to essentially zero, the way it's always been. There's been a reason, I think, that companies have used network licensing over the years. It's because it's cost effective and simple. BricsCAD still offers that. The other companies don't.
Wow. Robert, that was pretty amazing. I want to thank you for that dissertation. So I think now that we know how affordable BricsCAD is, I think folks might want to know a little bit more about BricsCAD. And I thank you for that portion of the conversation. So the question becomes, what is BricsCAD? BricsCAD is more than just the best drawing-based CAD product available today. It's a family of CAD products, and they're the cost-effective and highly compatible alternatives to the popular CAD, LTCAD, BIM, and mechanical products that you probably already use today. Imagine a situation where you have 2D drafting, 3D modeling, building information modeling, and mechanical assembly design in a single product with a single workflow. We call this BricsCAD Ultimate, and Ultimate is the version of BricsCAD you get when you download the 30-day free trial. So when you download and try BricsCAD, you're getting all of these products in a single package. BricsCAD Classic for 2D, Pro for 3D modeling, Platinum for advanced 3D modeling, and it's also the foundation for our mechanical and BIM offerings. Now, when you buy BricsCAD, entering a license code enables your addition. So you can download BricsCAD once and you're ready to go. A trial becomes a full commercial license with the entry of a license key. And all of the editions of BricsCAD link directly to Bricsys 24/7, our cloud-based collaboration and data storage environment. There's an in-product communication panel that lets you communicate with your colleagues and view, download, upload, and version files through our 24/7 cloud service. Now, we talked about network licensing, but there's a lot more to the BricsCAD offering than just network licenses. We like to say your licenses, your way, your choice. So perpetual licenses with optional maintenance live on here at Bricsys because you, our customers, tell us this is an important licensing option for you. Of course, if you do want to subscribe to BricsCAD on a yearly plan, you can certainly do that. We make it easy and affordable. For many customers, this makes sense for their business. Now, one thing that is important to note is that any single BricsCAD license supports any language in any location. So you don't need to ask our permission to use your BricsCAD license in a different locale, and we certainly won't charge you extra for that privilege either. And finally, as you learned today, network multi-user, which is floating or pooled licenses, and volume licenses, which are single key multi-user licenses, round out our offerings. We're here because of our customers, and we like to say that our license offerings really reflect the customer-centric nature of Bricsys as a company. So the pricing thing, I think we have that down. I think the licensing thing, we have that down. Let's talk about why BricsCAD. Well, of course, the affordability has been well demonstrated by Robert, and thank you for that. But one thing we're going to explore through the rest of this presentation is the high compatibility with your current CAD solution. BricsCAD's compatibility is unmatched, both with regard to the user interface and, more importantly, maybe for your muscle memory, that overall user experience. And that makes BricsCAD really easy to learn. You can be comfortable in an hour and proficient in an afternoon. BricsCAD's a flexible solution. We've shown you that in terms of the way that we offer our licenses and the way that we engage with our customers. And it's also very easy to deploy and manage BricsCAD in your company. We've run previous webinar series on that migration, and you can watch those if you go to bricsys.com/events. You can go back and watch the recordings of our previous webinars where Robert went into great detail on how easy it is to move all of your current customizations from the CAD platform you're on today to BricsCAD. And the other thing that I want to mention, since Robert isn't talking about deployments today, all of BricsCAD fits in a 450 megabyte installer. Actually, it's a little bit smaller than that. I think it's 427. But the point is that we support silent installation, and that workflow makes CAD managers smile. And if CAD manager's happy, guys, everybody in the org is happy for sure. Now, this concept of a familiar user interface, does this look familiar? Well, yeah, it goes a lot deeper than it looks. Like I said, current users of AutoCAD can be comfortable with BricsCAD in an hour. They can be proficient in an afternoon. The UI looks familiar, but you can still modify it to suit every whim and need you have. But again, more importantly, that user experience is the same. As Robert says, never forget what you already know. So imagine the same workflow, the same terminology, the same support files, 100% compatible command structures. It's really pretty amazing to move to BricsCAD, and it's exceptionally comfortable for everybody to be productive immediately inside of BricsCAD. So in terms of compatibility, remember, BricsCAD is based on the current drawing standard. People ask often, how do I get my drawings into BricsCAD? Well, you open them, and then when you make changes, you save them. You can put BricsCAD and other drawing-based CAD programs on the same machine and run them side by side, and they'll operate exactly the same way. Just as important, and even to some users, of course, more important, CAD managers worry about drawing compatibility. Users worry about command compatibility. If you run CAD like I do, left hand on the keyboard, right hand on the mouse, the things you type will get the same response from BricsCAD. It's 100% command and script compatible, but it's also highly compatible with your current menus and toolbars and ribbons and layouts. You can load your SUI files directly into BricsCAD and experience the same menu configurations that you use today. Of course, since we have high command compatibility, we also have great macro and script compatibility. And for the CAD manager, every support file you use today comes right over into BricsCAD. Your peripheral configurations, line types, patterns, drawing templates, sheet sets, highly compatible along with DWG. Now, we do a lot of things differently than those other CAD programs. And one of the things that BricsCAD is really, really great at is leveraging multi-core CPUs. You know, most CAD operations are single-threaded for very distinct reasons. CAD is a single-threaded thing generally because there's a lot of dependencies between the different objects and elements in a CAD file. But at Bricsys, we've done great work to refactor large sections of BricsCAD to leverage today's multi-core CPUs. So drawing loads, drawing regeneration, and rendering, of course, are multi-threaded, but even more importantly, drawing view creation, drawing view updates, and mass property calculations are also multi-threaded across today's modern CPUs. And you know, one of the things that we're very proud of is the performance of the BricsCAD Lisp interpreter. You can really see your Lisp routines run like crazy in BricsCAD. All of the routines that you've developed in other CAD packages move directly over into BricsCAD. If you do Lisp development, you can use the BricsCAD Lisp Advanced Development Environment, aka Blade. And something that's really important to note is that BricsCAD is based on Open Lisp. So it's anywhere from 5 to 100 times faster in executing Lisp routines than other packages. But wait, there's more. I couldn't help it, guys. I just had to say that. BricsCAD supports Lisp, .NET, and what we call our BRX development environment. Now, BRX is the BricsCAD runtime extension. It's code compatible with Autodesk's ARX development system. So we offer hundreds of third-party applications for 3D design and AEC. We offer third-party applications for civil engineering, and there's quite a few of them in that realm also. Spatial Manager, Land DTM, ArchiPlan, AVPlan, Top Parcel, Septic Assistant, Faro Virtual Survey for BricsCAD. You can see a ton of applications that you may already know from the Autodesk ecosystem, because for many of those developers, it was super easy to move their applications over to BricsCAD. We also offer many third-party applications for electrical system design and HVAC system design, including our platinum partner AX3000, a product that works intimately with BricsCAD BIM to deliver a full professional HVAC solution. And when you talk about plant design and structural engineering design, you'll see a lot of names that you probably recognize from that other CAD system, including CADWorks Professional from our very own Hexagon PPM team, tools like Parabuild and ArmCAD and FEM Systems means V11. These are all applications that are totally integrated with BricsCAD. And what they enable is a workflow that allows you to do all of the things you need to do to be successful day over day. We like to say that whatever you do, BricsCAD can help you do it faster, and we can help you do it for less money. And as Robert showed you, we can do it with much less hassle also. So with that, I want to hand the stage over to my colleague, Julie Kavarian. She's a technical product specialist for BricsCAD, and she's going to take you through the user interface of BricsCAD V20. Julie, I'm going to switch the presenter over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So BricsCAD is few technical difficulties here again. Highly compatible with the Autodesk environment. We've got our pre-configured workspaces that show for the different areas. And we can see up top here the ribbon and the menus, everything there, so you can get started going just as you already know how to do. Down at the bottom, we've got our command line that works just how you need it to, and it even pops out to float. Down below also, we've got our layout tabs. We also have a layout manager that we've added that's unique, so you can manage all of that. And the best thing of all, here we can see the status bar is also exactly the same. So you can manage your settings, the profiles, everything there too. And we'll see one of the best things is that the command names, the aliases, and system variables are the same in BricsCAD as they are in AutoCAD. So you don't have to relearn anything to use BricsCAD today. In your drawings, as Don mentioned, they are totally compatible. Just open them and go. There's no need to change your drawing templates, your blocks, your printer setups, or even your sheet set layouts. Everything is fully compatible in BricsCAD. You can reuse your customizations directly, never start from scratch when you move to BricsCAD. It's also easy to customize your BricsCAD menus by typing CUI at the command line. You can load partial or full CUI files directly into BricsCAD. Again, why start over? Use the menu customizations that you've already developed right in BricsCAD. You can run list routines developed in AutoCAD or other CAD applications without modifications. Just drag and drop the list file to start to use it. In this example, it finds and displays the area in square inches, square feet, and square meters. You can also load list routines from the BricsCAD List Advanced Development Environment, otherwise known as Blade. Blade helps you develop list routines in its Smart Editor panel. BricsCAD is based on OpenList with more memory management and great performance. Also, as Don highlighted, BricsCAD supports over 400 third-party applications built on the BricsCAD Runtime Extension API, BRX. It's code compatible with AutoCAD's ARX, and it enables top application developers to build industry-specific workflows for BricsCAD. You can search for, learn about, and even try many of these applications to help you get your work done easier, faster, and more accurately. Now, BricsCAD is a lot more than just compatible with AutoCAD. BricsCAD offers unique tools to help you do more in less time, including unique machine learning and AI-based workflows. The BricsCAD Quad Cursor is a powerful AI-based tool palette. It's a heads-up display right at your cursor. It predicts the command you'll likely need next, based on the way you use BricsCAD. Since the Quad gives you all the commands you need automatically, you can use the powerful clean screen mode to maximize your drawing area. BricsCAD offers a powerful 2D dynamic UCS. It's never been easier to draw 2D entities while keeping track of true north. The nearest distance feature shows the distance between any two entities. Want to change that? Just type in a new value and use imply to move command. Need to rotate, copy, move, or mirror drawing elements? Just hold the pick button a bit longer and the manipulator appears. It offers all the standard copy and displacement commands without a command input. The manipulator can be used with both 2D entities and 3D solids. Activate the manipulator with a long pick, and here it's easy to move the building to the correct level. With the manipulator, we can mirror these terraces to the back of the building. Then, change the origin of the manipulator to mirror them once more. The manipulator will let you copy once or multiple times. And you can even change the behavior of the manipulator to easily scale selected objects. You can use dynamic blocks created in AutoCAD directly inside of BricsCAD. Import and access your block libraries from BricsCAD's tool palette panels, drag them into your drawings, place them anywhere you want. Then you can stretch or control dynamic block visibility states just as they were defined in AutoCAD. Now, BricsCAD uses a modern and powerful approach to create dynamic block content. The BricsCAD version of dynamic blocks are based on 2D and 3D parametric constraints. In this example, we've created parametric sheet layouts that can be automatically scaled. And you see the applied constraints showed graphically. Need to control multiple layouts? It's simple to create a parametric design table in BricsCAD. Now, while creating 2D constraint systems is simple, creating them in 3D can be a chore. So BricsCAD offers a powerful auto-parameterized workflow. Here's how easy it is to use. The parameters panel in our session is empty to start. After running the auto-parameterize, the entire assembly is fully constrained with all parameters in just seconds. BricsCAD gives you a huge head start, and you still have full control to change the names, the values, and formulas of parameters and constraints. And you can add your own too. So why spend your time manually creating the parameters and constraints when BricsCAD can do it much quicker? Another BricsCAD AI feature is Blockify, and that helps you organize and create the most efficient drawings possible. In our first example, the L bracket was created as 12 separate entities and copied across the drawing many times. With Blockify, just window select the entities, and it will scan the block database to see if there are any existing blocks to match your selection. If so, it uses that block to replace all the individual entities. If not, it creates a new block definition to replace the geometry. Now, in our second example, you can see that we've got quite a mess of exploded geometry. Multiple motorbikes were copied, rotated, and unfortunately exploded. In seconds, Blockify converts the geometry into existing block definitions with all the correct colors, layers, and properties automatically applied. Without Blockify, you'd probably just erase all of this and start from scratch. Blockify is the most efficient and effective way to reduce drawing size simply and easily. In fact, you can reduce DWG file size up to 90% with the BricsCAD's Blockify workflow. The power of AI can also help you create smarter drawings. The copy guided command automatically aligns entities to relevant geometry as they are copied. Copy guided analyzes the geometry around your selection set and creates a set of alignment vectors or guide curves. With copy guided, there's no need to zoom in or use object snaps, and you don't even need to trim the lines after you copy that. Copy guided works on just about any geometry you can imagine. Here, we want to copy this opening at the bottom up to the top of that area. If we decide we don't want the opening after all, simply use copy guided again with the geometry you want to replace that opening with, and it's gone. Copying geometry to a new location has never been easier or more accurate. BricsCAD offers intuitive push-pull direct modeling for creating and editing solids and surfaces. Direct modeling is much more flexible than conventional history-based modelers. If you're familiar with 3D modeling, you'll be right at home modeling in BricsCAD. You can start with primitive shapes, 2D profiles, or imported geometry. Anything you create can be extruded, swept, or revolved into shapes using the commands and the workflows that you already know. If you're new to 3D, you'll find that BricsCAD's direct modeling approach works intuitively, like digital clay with full CAD accuracy. Add the power of BricsCAD's 3D constraint engine and the import-export capabilities of the BricsCAD Communicator add-on, and there's nothing you can't create in BricsCAD. And if you're modeling in 3D, then you'll need a reliable way to create 2D detail drawings from your 3D creations. BricsCAD generates fully associative drawing views directly from your model, and you have total control over the layout and style. BricsCAD can also generate fast draft quality views that can be regenerated as full view using all the cores of your computer CPU, and that's modern CAD performance. For civil engineers, BricsCAD offers extended modeling workflows for creating and editing tin surfaces, grading, and alignment. Best of all, there's no need for object enablers to view and analyze BricsCAD civil geometry. Add our geometry to the analysis expertise brought by our third-party developers, and there's no limits on civil engineering projects in BricsCAD. And finally, if you use point clouds, BricsCAD also allows you to attach industry-standard point clouds to your drawings. Our point cloud technology pre-processes enormous point clouds to display and reuse that geometry on just about any hardware. Leverage point clouds to extract geometry for as-builts or as a start to a new solid model design. But don't believe me, try it for yourself. Okay, Don, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Julie, thank you so much. That was great. Let me show you guys exactly what you need to do to get your hands on a 30-day full commercial version of BricsCAD for $0. That's right, it's a special $0. Just kidding. The BricsCAD trial is always free and it's always available. Go to Bricsys.com. In the upper right-hand corner of the web page, you see a blue link that says download. And when you click on that download link, you'll be taken to our single sign-on screen. Now, if it's the first time you've been here, you'll want to register a new account, and you can do that quickly using your email address, or if you want, your Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn credentials. Takes you to the next screen where we ask you for your email and a password, and there's some simple password rules there. We recommend that you use your work email, but of course you can use any email, valid email address that you wish. After you hit the register button, you will be taken to complete your Bricsys profile, and that will give you direct access to the download page. You'll be downloading BricsCAD Ultimate, and BricsCAD Ultimate contains BricsCAD Classic, Pro, Platinum, BIM, and Mechanical. Now, after the installation, and by the way, download and install should take you somewhere just north of about 5 to 7 minutes. It's that fast and it's that easy to get started with BricsCAD. On the first launch of BricsCAD, you will see the BricsCAD launcher. This panel comes up before you start the product. What you want to do to begin your 30-day free trial is simply push the button that says Start Trial. When you look at the available workspaces, you see 2D drafting, 3D modeling, mechanical assembly design, and BIM. Off to the very far left, you see a button that says Free Shape. What does that mean? Well, when your BricsCAD trial is complete, assuming you don't purchase a license, and of course you will, but let's just say that you didn't. Fine. The BricsCAD installation on your machine reverts to the free BricsCAD Shape product. It's the same 3D modeler that Julie showed you in her presentation, and it's free of charge for as long as you want it on your machine. At any given time, you can convert the trial, or you can convert the BricsCAD shape instance to a full license by just simply pressing activate license and putting in a valid license key. I recommend when you first start BricsCAD and start the trial, go to the modeling workspace, because that's the one that's going to look the most like what you're used to today. Now, the next question that comes up is, okay, I understand the workspaces are optimized for different types of design tasks, 2D drafting, 3D modeling, mechanical assembly design, etc. What about this whole BricsCAD Edition thing? You told me that Ultimate has all of the versions of BricsCAD in one. Yes, it does. And when you're inside of BricsCAD, you can change the current running edition with the run as level command. At the command prompt, simply type in RU. I think that's all you need. Autocomplete will show you the run as level command. It allows you to change the current product license level. And by the way, this works in a production environment too. You can always change to a lower level. Of course, you can't change to an upper, a higher level in production, but you can, in the trial, experience any of the BricsCAD editions free for 30 days. The next prompt simply says, restart BricsCAD. And that level that you're running at, the edition you're running, will be reflected in the upper toolbar that frames the BricsCAD window, the upper status bar. So you'll be able to see exactly which version, which edition of BricsCAD makes the most sense for your business, so you can optimize the edition that you purchase to get the best value for your money from your BricsCAD CAD solution. Today, in the handout tray of this webinar event, you will see the BricsCAD PDF brochure and also a document that we call the BricsCAD value proposition that tells you a little bit more about why we're here and what we can offer to you and your business. So I'd invite everybody, please, to download that and take it and share it with your peers. Now, we also know that during the trial period, there may be an opportunity where you actually want to reach out and talk to somebody, and we're here for you. Send an email at any time to trybricscad@bricsys.com, and we'll do our best to answer your questions quickly. Now, we hold webinars like this every week. We'll repeat this webinar next week also, and then we'll move on to BricsCAD BIM on August 11th. So you'll want to know more about future webinars. You can always find those and the links to previous webinar recordings at bricsys.com/events. And you know, the best way to really get familiar with BricsCAD is to embrace your local BricsCAD reseller and let them help you tailor a BricsCAD-based solution for your company. You can find your local BricsCAD reseller by simply going to bricsys.com/contact. With that, folks, our webinar is complete. Thank you so much for joining us today. We know we're in a little bit strange times today, but we just like to ask everybody to be smart, take care of yourselves and your people, be safe, use your head, wear a mask, and keep working with BricsCAD. I think that you will, in a very short period of time, feel like all of us at Bricsys do. We offer a cost-effective, modern CAD solution that really feels familiar and makes you feel at home. We give you the ability to own your licenses. We give you the ability to maintain control over your data. We understand why you do what you do, and Bricsys and BricsCAD are here to make it easier for you to get things done. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again.